Good afternoon. Welcome to Foys on Facebook. My name's Gina.
My name's Jerry.
And Veronica, as always, behind the scenes. We're going to get her up here again one day.
I promise to behave myself today.
So today's show is on heaters, thermocubes, drinker feeder stand, and drinker heater stand, and drinker feeder shelf.
Would you repeat that?
Heaters, thermocubes, drinker feeder shelf, drinker heater stand.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, post them. We'll answer them, whether the questions are about the topic or otherwise. We will answer them, and we will try to answer all of them on air.
And there's the possibility you may have to leave early, or is that on the agenda?
I will be leaving early. It's okay. It wasn't on the agenda. Okay. I was just gonna go. But the auction winner for the 6 racing homers is Lee Zielinski. I believe he already came and picked them up, though.
Yep.
So, as you know, do you want to talk a little bit about the Legacy Fund and let them know what the auction's all about?
Yeah, sure. We have auctions every show, I think, in the last year or so. Has it been that long?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. So we have a show. We have an auction. The auction is to benefit the hobby. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. We call it the Legacy Fund Trust, part of the NPA. And basically what happens is if you buy a pair of birds or a group of pigeons during these auctions on Facebook, the money goes to the Legacy Fund Trust. And the person who donates the birds is benefits from donating the birds. Your benefit, if you buy the birds, is you get the birds. But we are in need of more birds, so if you're a watcher, a supporter of the trust, or just a supporter of the hobby, we encourage you to give some thought to sending us some birds for future auctions. We ask for good quality birds. We like pairs. It's hard to sell a single bird, so if it's a hen and a cock, that would be great.
And banded.
And banded, very important. And what we do is we invest the money. When I say we, the trust invests all the money we take in. Birds rarely sell for less than 100, but you get credit if you send birds. You get credit for the shipping, so it always adds up to 100 or more. Once it passes $100 for your birds or for the cost of shipping, you are listed in the honor roll or on the honor roll for the National Pigeon Association. They send out a publication every quarter, and your name will be there forever as a contributor. And it's accumulative. So if you give us birds or send us birds or bring us birds, we'll be at Louisville, we'll be at Fremont tomorrow, we'll be talking about that. You could actually bring them to the show and give them to us. And it's cumulative. There are different levels. If you once you pass 100, your name is in the quarterly forever as a gold band member. Once you pass 500, and we have lots of them, you become a ruby member, and then at 1,000, it's the platinum member. And believe it or not, we have a lot of those too. So we're not expecting you to give us $1,000 or $500 worth of birds, but if you can send 1 pair, 2 pair, and it's a good time of the year to think about it because breeding season is over, show season is upon us, or race season is almost over. So if you want to contribute birds, it's a great time to do it. If you need more information, just call. We'd like to know the birds are coming. You can call Foys and ask for Gina, and she'll be looking for the birds. If you have any other questions, call the store, and if the store can't answer questions, they'll give you my home phone number. Did I do a good job?
Good job.
Well, thank you.
So as he said, the Fremont show is tomorrow. We'll be leaving here right after the show. If you need anything last minute, as long as it's a small order, we have a tiny bit of room left, so.
You save on shipping, so.
Yeah, if you need
good
something,
thing to do.
Give them a call. Also, we mentioned last week that we would be going to the national show in Texas. We will not be attending the show. Jed's is the exclusive vendor this year, so we won't be there. What else? Louisville show.
Yeah, Louisville.
Louisville show is October 26th. We will start taking pre-orders October 1st. So if you have a pre-order, you can start calling us then.
And we always encourage people to pre-order. Of course, you have to pay for it with your credit card. But the thing you might want to consider is there's probably been some stuff that you would like to have, but it's so costly to ship. We'll bring it to you at Louisville, and you pay absolutely no shipping, and that's a savings. It could be a savings of a couple of $100 because the big 4-level units are very heavy, and it takes 2 boxes. So if you're interested in ordering, our next show is in Louisville. In fact, coincidentally, we got their entry blank and premium book with all the information you might need to have. And I was not supposed to flip it because there's an address. If you've got a pencil, get a pencil and paper, or tell them about how you can watch the shows in the future on our site while I'm looking. You know, if you know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Our shows are always, the show today will be on
previous shows
on our site, yes.
All the shows we've done in the past are on our site and also on YouTube. So it's right there.
Right there.
Go ahead.
If you would like a copy of what is their entry, all their entry blanks and information on the show and all the different categories and what it costs, you can do that because you read much better than me.
Your entries have to go to the National Young Bird Show, P.O. Box 21, Milton, Kentucky.
Milton, Milton.
40045.
And if you don't show, go to the show. It's a huge for sale section. Birds that you may never have seen before or never had the opportunity to purchase. That sale section is huge. Somewhere around 4,000 birds, all in one building. It's a great place to be. Some good food around there too. But even if you don't show, come to the show. And one of the features of this show is this company that's going to be there. What's the name of that company with all the pigeon supplies and stuff that sells?
Foys?
Yeah, Foys will be there. And you'll be able to meet Gina. You are going, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, you'll be able to meet Gina and Kim and myself and some of our other people.
And Dr. Botha will be there.
Yeah, Dr. Botha, who has been a guest on our show. Before, and I know you have more, hey, we need people sending in questions. It just makes the show better for so many people watching. So if you have a question or if you'd like us to talk about something in particular, we urge you to send it. We'll read it on the screen, and if at all possible, we'll talk about it today. And if it's not possible, because I have to do a little bit of research, at the next show, we'll answer your particular situation or a suggestion to make our show better. That's all we want to do.
I know one thing, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but a lot of people have been calling with adenovirus. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, it's a scourge, so to speak. It's all over the United States. It being a virus, there is no treatment to cure a virus. As I've spoke before, a virus has to run its course. Just like if you get a cold, you can treat the headache, but you can't treat the virus. The cold virus, it has to run its course, go away by itself. There are a couple of products that you may want to consider. Our good friend Mike Owens from Boxes of Birds came up, I shouldn't say came up, he was decimated. He lost 1,000 pigeons and he didn't know what to do. He tried everything. Talk a little bit about NutriDrop while I sneeze.
Okay.
Excuse me, are you done?
I'm done, go ahead.
Sorry about that. But
bless you.
Go to our catalog or go to our site and type in NutriDrops, NutriDrops. There's a big long paragraph. I think probably has more of a description than anything else in the catalog, and it talks about it. It tells the symptoms to look for, and it's a killer. It'll kill a bunch of birds in a hurry. I don't I don't know of anybody that's been completely wiped out, but it will kill a lot. And I would think you'd want these products on hand or product on hand, because if you got hit with it, you have to call us or some other supply house and wait for it to come. Go to our website, check out NutriDrops, and you may want to consider ordering it just to have it.
But not only do we have NutriDrops for the Adeno, we also have Adeno S and Adeno Zap.
None of them are treatments.
Correct.
All of them are to help the birds through the virus.
Right.
Good question. How are we doing following the script?
We're doing well.
Okay.
Doing well. So now we can get on with the topic, which are heaters.
Yep.
So we have 6 heaters.
Yep, I think we're going to be putting them up on the screen. I think.
You won't see them.
Oh, I won't see them.
No,
They're up
they'll
there.
see them. You won't.
Which are we going to talk about first?
The flat heaters and bullet.
We sell, and to my knowledge, we are the only company in Canada and the United States, unless somebody buys them from us. We had these made specifically for the Foys company. They're made in Europe, and they make them only for us. This is a flat heater, and of course, in the heavy-duty extension cord, there's a light. When the unit is working, the light is on, and they are what's we call temperature control. They don't get so hot they would burn something. So yes, you can use plastic on them. It won't burn them. Goes on and off, reaches a temperature, and then shuts off, and goes back on based on its need. We have these. This is the standard size. We have 3 sizes.
3 sizes.
We have 3 different sizes. So if you're going to call and order one of these heaters, and this is the time of year to do it, we ran out last year. We had an overwhelming demand, and we actually ordered more this year. So if you need to measure the base of your heater, of your drinker, like this, from here to here, so that you know which one you need to order. So we have them in 3 sizes. We also have one that is made specifically for this type of drinker. See, this drinker has a little hole. A lot of people over the years have asked us what that hole is for. Well, this is a special heater made for it. They can see this, can't they? Yeah. Okay. And this, see that little hole? Goes right there. That's for it. So it actually works great because it's not only heating the bottom, it's heating the sides where the ice is. So that's one of the reasons we have that. Pardon?
So this is called the bullet heater,
Yep.
and the drinker is the European drinker.
The bullet drinker, we only have one size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's
it
not
only
needed.
fits
It's just to fit the whole of the drinker itself.
Right.
And so we have other. Don't we have that other heater that we didn't?
The can heater.
Yeah, there's a can heater that's been around longer than I've been around, and believe me, that's a long, long time. It's a metal heater. Sits on the floor, and you put your light bulb inside and put your heater on top of it. Now you can't use a plastic drinker on them unless we go to the second thing we talk about, which is the adjustable heater thing that turns it on, turns it off based on temperature.
No. The can heater specifically for the galvanized drinkers.
I'm sure glad you're here. The reason you don't want to use a plastic one is light bulb. Even though it's a 40-watt light bulb, if the heater seals the opening, if the drinker seals the opening on top of the heater, it could melt the plastic. So we sell the can heater and sell lots and lots of them, but for folks who use metal drinkers. Okay.
And there's also a platform that you can put on top of the heater and put the drinker on it.
We'll put this back.
We also have the
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You have the thermocubes. So you can plug those into a thermocube. And there's 2 different. Jesus, I can't think.
Well, that's because somebody walked in the building.
I know.
You got disturbed.
I did.
person walked
The
in.
thermocubes right
Okay.
here.
The thermocubes, what they are, they're pretty darn slick. You plug them in, and when you plug your extension cord in them, the extension cord to your heater, let's say it doesn't have any kind of a thermostat or you make your own, the cube will go on once the temperature reaches. I'm trying to read it real because I know that
35 and 45
yeah,
and
35 degrees. If it goes below 35 degrees,
20 degrees.
yeah. Well, anyway, they're set. When it's so cold, they'll go on. When the temperature changes during the day or after a few days, they'll shut back off. So they go on and off as you need them, and we have them in two temperatures. One's 35 to 45, and there's another one that's 20 degrees. Goes on at 20 degrees, goes off when it hits 30 degrees. So they're called thermocubes. We sell a lot of them because a lot of people do have the old um, type of heaters or they've made their own. So with a thermocube, you plug it in and you've made yourself an adjustable drinker where it will go on and go off at certain times. I got abandoned. I don't know where Gina went, but she's not here right now. Gina! Anyway, I'll grab the agenda if that's what it takes, Gina.
Heaters.
Well, we talked about heaters already.
All
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 of them.
Yeah.
The heater drinker stand.
Why is your face glowing?
The heater drink. Oh, we have a question first.
Okay.
Number 675 ProBios with garlic. Do I give them once a day or week?
And you would say?
Probably 3 times a week.
There you go. That's perfect. All products like vitamins and probiotics need to be given regularly to have any effect at all. Once a week, you're pretty much wasting your time. Mm-hmm. So what I tell people, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is a good routine. If you're already doing something on those days, just make it. It could be Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever. But you want to give it to them on a regular basis and not just once a week or once a month like anything else. It takes consistency, and for the probiotics to work, you need to give them regularly. Now, if you give medications or they're on an antibiotic, the probiotics need to be used at least 3 days after the end of the medication. As we've talked about it before. Antibiotics don't know what they're killing. They're just killing all the bacteria in the intestines. And the idea of a probiotic is to rebuild the good bacteria. The antibiotics killed everything. Before the bad bacteria can come back, the probiotic rebuilds good bacteria, and you have a fighting chance of having a lot healthier pigeons than if you didn't use it. Well, thanks very much for the question. And we need more questions, and we need suggestions. We don't get as many as I think we should. There's a lot of stuff you folks would like us to talk about. If you want, just call, but or email us. But you can do it right now. Tell us we'll answer it on the screen.
Another question: what to put in my water for my pigeons to not overheat during summertime?
What to put in the water for pigeons to not? I would think the best thing you should consider is electrolytes. What he's implying, I would think, Jan, is the fact that pigeons they are not conditioned to a lot of really hot weather in certain areas. They become dehydrated. Or if you're flying your birds, like your doves and your rollers or your racing homers, on a very hot day when they come down, they are dehydrated, and the electrolytes, and we sell a number of them, will then help rehydrate your birds. And that's the biggest fear in pigeons is the heat. In fact, we had a sad case. We shipped some pigeons. Same box we've always used, basically the same amount of pigeons we've always used. And where they were going was in very hot weather, 85 to 90 degrees, and 4 of them were dead on arrival. That shows you what heat can do to a bird. So lots of ventilation, but put some electrolytes in the water will help a lot. Thank you for your question.
So the drinker heater stand.
Okay, we're going to talk about the drinker heater shelf or unit. You'll never see this anywhere else because
You'll see it one place.
anywhere else, I said, which is an implication that we're the only ones that have it.
We're
Or
the
should I
only-
make that clear?
Well, yeah, make it clear.
The only place you can get this at Foys until, and we were chuckling about this the other day, how many people copy us until somebody sees it and thinks it's a good idea, and they'll build one too. But the
I
whole
was
lot,
gonna say, except the person we got it from.
Mr. Raber?
No.
No.
Ron.
Oh,
Ron
thanks,
Simpson.
Ron Simpson. Yes, Ron Simpson is from Ohio, a great supporter of the NPA and the hobby itself. And we visited him at his, he has a summer gathering of pigeon fanciers, and I saw something very similar in his loft and asked him if we could copy them. And he was gracious enough, he said, of course. So here's what we've got. This is made, I'll show you, and Sherry, one of our people here, calls it a potty chair. So here's what it is. It sits up off the ground. It sits this high. Because you may want to put that can heater under it, and the can heater is about the same height here, and it goes there, and the heat comes up. So that's the whole idea of the hole here is for the heater. Then, if you're using our heater, it's also made so that it's locked in position, and then you would put your drinker here. Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. And there's a hole back here, as you can see. It goes through the hole so that it's not going to move around, and you don't have to worry about running the cord in. It's locked in position again. And that's basically the way it works. This being a heater that won't overheat, you can use your plastic. Now, one of the questions we had is, well, what if my drinker is heavier? Well, what Gina came up with was make this a flip top, which we did. And this goes right there. Now, if you have a wall here, it'll just lean there on the wall. But if not, it'll go back down here. So it's a great idea. Also, something I like about it also is we call it a drinker feeder stand, because one of the things I like is to keep the feed up off the floor. So if you put a feeder here, the birds would jump up on the platform in order to eat. So all the poop and the droppings and the feathers and all that kind of stuff will not get into your water. So it really helps to keep your water very clean. It's called a drinker feeder. It's on our website. It's not on our catalog now, but it will be in the next catalog. So if you're interested, it's on the website with all the measurements, and any of the girls can answer your question. Made by our master carpenter, John Raber. And you can see, I hope you can see everything he does. The last thing he does is sands it all. So you're getting a nice smooth surface. I tell people, when you get it, take the time to paint it or stain it. It'll make it last that much longer. Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
If you have a question, folks, give us a call and I'll talk about it some more, or a question on anything about the hobby.
Cinnamon.
Be glad to talk to you. Okay. Next.
The drinker feeder shelf.
Okay. Is there a picture? Are they seeing a picture of the drinkers? Okay. We call it a drinker feeder shelf. And I took one home a few days ago. I shouldn't say a few days ago. Last week after our show, I wanted to try it again myself, just so I knew I had to talk about it. The way it works is you can screw it to the wall, and it has legs that go down, as you can probably see on the screen. And the whole idea is to keep your water or your feeders up off the floor. And to me, it's amazing. This is molting season. There's feathers everywhere in my loft. And if you have an open drinker of any kind, your drinker is going to end up full of feathers. Well, when it's off the wall, you can put it at any height you want. Then you don't get that dirt, grime, feathers, and everything else in the drinking water. I change my water certainly every day, And when I do, the ones that don't have that drinker shelf, the water's dirty, just is. The one that does, and I'm going to put some more in now, uh, you put them there and the water stays clean. And the other advantage is if for some reason you don't need it at that particular time, whatever reason, maybe I'm thinking maybe I'll not use it when I've got young on the floor because the young that are weaned may not be wise enough to jump up there. So you can fold it down, leave it there, but fold it down. Where the birds land and where the drinker is a screened floor, so the droppings basically go down to the floor. Great unit. If you've ever, what was I going to say?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, how about if you ever see me on the street in New York City, you stop me and ask me, and I'll explain it again. How's that? Don't worry about me, folks. I'm just getting old.
You know what I forgot to mention in the beginning? How about them Steelers?
How about them Steelers? Can we talk? Can we change the subject? How about this
we
one?
have a question.
Well, I know, but we also don't always mention it. We have a segment, and it can be at any time based on the question. If you have a question that has nothing to do with pigeons, and you would like to ask Veronica or Gina or me, send us a question and we'll answer it if at all possible. And no, she's not married. That's when she's not attached at the moment.
Anyways, we have a question.
Okay.
Hi, Blondell. Which heater did you want the price on? I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, we have a number of them.
Yeah, just let me know which one and I'll tell you what the price is. You threw me off.
Don't look at me. You know what I'd like to talk about?
What?
Cafeteria feeders.
How about that?
Okay. We sell, once again, to my knowledge, it's an exclusive with Foys. We're always looking for new ideas, and if you have an idea of something that's working in your loft, we encourage you to give us a call. And if we use it, we'll be glad to use your name. If you look in our catalog, you'll see a lot of products named after Gina, Veronica, different people. And somebody who gave us an idea, we'll call it, if it's Bill, we'll call it Bill's Feeder Drinker. A lot of us spend some time on the road, and there are times when we might want to leave feed, more feed than might be normal. So what we've come up with is 2 cafeteria feeders. Excuse me.
You don't have those, right?
Okay. This will hold pretty much a 50-pound bag of feed. Should I take these off, Gina?
You can.
Okay.
I bet you got your handy dandy knife,
I
don't
sure
you?
do. There it is. I wanted to open it up to show you folks. When we ship it, this is the way we ship it to prevent anything from moving. All right. Pretty much simple. Can they see this okay? All right. Take the top off to fill it, and the top slides on, and it's made to fit so it won't come off. If you were to fill the feed, it's 2 sizes. You can see this side and this side. And inside, it's made reverse V, so when the feed goes in it, as the birds eat it, the feed goes down, but it slides to both sides, just like that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 birds at a time can feed from it. And it's not one of those things where you have a frenzy to eat. With a cafeteria feeder, it's made or meant to supply the birds feed at all times so that you won't get a rush. They're all going to eat when they feel like eating. And we also have this. When the birds are feeding through here, let's say for some reason you don't want them to eat from both sides, slides in, nothing, they can't get to it, so it might be up against the wall. Or, and you can do it on each side, we have one of these, they come with it. Or for whatever, like I said, for whatever reason, I lost my train of thought. Would you get off that thing?
I'm getting up to the price.
Somebody can ask for price. Once again, holds about 50 pounds of feed.
Yes, it does.
All right. Now I want to show you a second version, and this came as a suggestion a long time ago. I like this one better than the other one. This is what called a wall-mounted. So,
Hold on.
yep.
Blondell, the price of the feeder. Oh, and the cafeteria feeder, $70.
Which one was that?
The one you just showed, the
Okay.
cafeteria feeder.
Okay. And the other lady had a question about what the price on the heater. She hasn't answered back yet.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a cafeteria. See the 2 holes, 3 holes. This is made to screw right to the wall. So you can have it up this high. Once again, the advantage is the feed will stay much cleaner. You fill it, and it's inside it's a slanted board which forces the feed to the front. It holds, I'm thinking around 40 pounds. And I like the idea to keep it up off the floor to keep it clean, keep the feed clean. Birds jump up on here, stick their head through, and they have feed available to them at all times. With a back wall. So it's a wall hung feeder. It comes pre-drilled, good hinges. Once again, I suggest if you decide you want to order a cafeteria feeder, whether it's a wall mount or floor, I suggest you paint it when you get it. Won't take long, but paint it before it gets soiled. And this is meant to prevent the birds from perching on top of it, so they don't. Any questions at all on these? I didn't mention, if you'll see, it sticks out here and it sticks out on the other side, and there's holes to drill it to the wall, as well as these holes which will keep it steady and stop it from moving. Okay.
Blondell, the price of the heater feeder stand is $59. I think that's what you're talking about.
Okay.
Hey, I hope those Pirates win. The Mets need their help. You watch the Pirates, don't you? Often?
I used to.
Used to.
Oh, they're so bad. They are so bad this
Put that
year.
in your pocket.
Okay. But they are my Pirates. I'm more of a Pirate Penguin fan than I am a Steeler fan, although I will watch the Steelers.
Yeah.
Oh, where's my scratch paper?
Right
Is that mine?
That's yours.
Okay.
Take it.
I wrote an article today, as I do on a fairly regular basis. I sent it to the National Pigeon Association directly because Veronica was complaining she was overworked and overloaded. So I just typed it up and sent it right to them. Is that okay, Veronica? You don't have any problems with that? But what I did was I tried to come up with different ideas. And some of you know we have a little booklet called Tips and Tricks. Is that what it's called? Available from us if you want it, but I'm not trying to sell it. So I went through it page by page and listed, I'm thinking somewhere about 15 or 20 tips. And every time I read that book, I remember things that I forgot, if that makes sense to you. So, did you know a lot of people will call us and the birds are acting goofy? We've all heard that. Fly into the wall, turn their head upside down, twisted. When you walk in, they go crazy. And it's hard sometimes to know whether it's PMV or paratyphoid. Well, with PMV, if the birds are stressed or you walk in and scare them, they go nuts. They just absolutely go nuts. That's PMV. They're under stress, they react and will fly into the walls, will twist and tumble. With paratyphoid, it's just the opposite. There's absolutely no reaction to you walking in or being stressed. If there's symptoms, I knew it a long time ago and I forgot. So if it's paratyphoid and you walk into the loft, you won't see any difference in the symptoms that they already have. So if you want to know the difference between PMV and paratyphoid and you're not sure, under stress, they react PMV. Under stress, they don't react, and stress is you just walking into the loft. Under stress with PMV, no difference in the symptoms at all. Another one, I was trying to remember because I didn't bring the tip book with me. wanted to talk a little bit about the pigeon fly, because we get a question about the pigeon fly once in a while. A pigeon fly looks like a big house fly that you, not a mosquito, a fly, and you all know what that looks like. Well, the pigeon fly lives on the bird, and sometimes if you're handling a bird, you'll see a pigeon fly zipping back and forth underneath the feathers to hide. And it's a blood sucker. So the pigeon fly bites the bird and sucks the blood. If you have a lot of them, what it's going to do is make the birds weaker from blood loss. But the biggest problem, or the biggest destruction, or the biggest problem that a pigeon fly can create is when you're breeding young ones. They will stay with those young ones. They'll stay in the nest, in the poop. They'll just stay there, and they'll be biting the young babies all the time, and that the sucking the blood, eventually the bird is weakened to the point it gets sick, and many times you'll lose them. What I tell people to do is, if you see it, you first want to dip all of your adult birds, or birds that have been weaned that are fully feathered, with permectin 2, and it's in the catalog. Turns your water like milk. I've used it many times. You just dip them up to their head and spread their wings, spread their tail. It's going to kill everything on the bird, including that pigeon fly. Then you've got to pull those young ones out temporarily. Just take them out of the nest, put in a new or a clean nest bowl, and scrape all the wet droppings. And you'll see wet droppings from this too. Sometimes these pigeon flies even cause diarrhea. So pull your bird out, clean the nest box as good as you possibly can, put a clean nest bowl in, and the whole process starts all over again. You may even see the pigeon flies. So when you've cleaned your nest, spray it with permectin or some other insecticide, which will help reduce the possibilities of a pigeon fly. I think they're more prevalent in the warmer climates. I've seen them, but very rarely up here. But if you've ever seen a fly on your bird or underneath the feathers, it's not a regular house fly. That's a pigeon fly. Okay?
We have a question. Anne asked if the cafeteria feeders work for all breeds, runts and owls.
Well, the only one I would be concerned about would be the runt. We all know a runt.
Not that. Those. No.
Oh,
cafeteria feeders.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about a heater drinker stand. Absolutely, no problem at all. The owls, whether they're Chinese or African, it's higher, but it's not a problem. They'll be able to get to it. Or if you have smaller birds and you're not sure, on this one, on the wall mount, it's no problem at all. But if they're, if you think it's going to be a problem, put a brick here. And the bird jumps onto the brick and has no problem at all, because the feed is up towards the top. The runts, they'll get in there just fine. Thanks for your question, Ann.
Do you think you can handle the rest of the show without me?
I don't know. What am I going to talk about? Sure,
all
the good topics we've used.
I mean, here's
and
a
now you're
couple
going
of
to
things
leave.
we talked about.
Where are you going?
To the show. I gotta go to Fremont.
Well, if you're in the Ohio, Western Ohio area, not terribly far from Toledo, Michigan, that area. The show is Saturday. Gina will be there tomorrow. Sorry?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Gina will be set up tomorrow. Judging is on Saturday. I talked to Jim. They're already all set up. And they'll have a for sale section. So if you want to sell some birds, you may want to talk to Jim about that. Or if you want to buy birds, a great place. Or if you want to see good pigeons, you'll see them there. So the show is at the fairgrounds in Fremont. Real easy to find.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't
So
forget to mention that.
Gina and her daughter are going to jump in the truck, which is already loaded, and go to Fremont.
That's something for you, and then
Okay,
don't forget to mention that. See y'all in 2 weeks.
All right. Our next show, we'll mention it again, is October 4th, a Friday, same time, Eastern time, 3 to 4. And I'm going to move over a little bit. So, hi there, Cassandra. Cassandra, come over here. Come on. You want to see beauty? Come here. Come here. Come on. No, you can't get away. This is Cassandra. Cassandra is Gina's daughter.
Hello.
One of my favorite grandchildren. Of course, they're all favorite, but some are special in their own way. So she's blushing. But this is Cassandra. If you want to meet Cassandra, she'll be in Fremont, Ohio, and you want to see another generation. Here's another generation. Come here. Can you see there? What is your name, little girl? Alea. This is Gina's granddaughter. This is Cassandra's daughter. So we have 3 generations. And are you going to the show too? Yeah. Is she going?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Thank you very much. Stop the show. Bye. Say bye.
Say bye.
Oh, she said goodbye. All right. Thanks, Cassandra. Drive carefully. Okay. If you once again, I have a question on the screen. If you have a question, or let me ask you this: is there a breed of pigeons that you would like to see us offer on auction? I have a lot of friends. Maybe I haven't approached them. If you have a particular breed that you would like to see or have on our show and make a bid on, certainly I'll be glad to try to find a pair of the birds that you're looking for. Now, Gina has a question, and I guess I'm going to have to answer it. I reckon if I were to order 50 pigeon bowls, you could have those delivered to me by Monday. Well, by Monday. Well, what? Sure, she'll be back tomorrow. It's around noontime on 1 o'clock, something like that, on tomorrow, Saturday. And when she gets back, I'll tell her to put them in a truck and bring them to you. How's that, Mark? Is that a good answer? Don't take any guarantees, though. Talking about Saturday, I have a gentleman who's calling me tomorrow, coming tomorrow, which reminds me that if you'd like to visit my lofts, or if you'd like to visit our store to purchase something, be glad to meet you at the store. And we would open up on a Saturday or a Sunday. I have a man coming tomorrow, and make our products available to you. And if you want to visit my loft, we can do that too. But I can't do it for, and this sounds, I'm not sure if this sounds right or not. I can't do it for just a visit. If that were the case, I'd have people visiting all the time. If you need to buy something and Saturday or Sunday, the only days you can get off, that's fine. We'll make some sort of an arrangement. So the reason the gentleman's coming tomorrow is he's from Pennsylvania, and he has a terrible, terrible problem with hawks. They're just picking his birds off. And I thought he was maybe exaggerating, but he says, Jerry, I can't fly my birds. He has white homers for the white dove release business. He says, without losing pigeons. In fact, he says, you may not believe it. He says, I'm looking outside right now. My birds are in, but there are 8 hawks circling the area, hoping I'll release my birds. So he's finally thrown in the towel. There isn't much you can do about hawks. It's against the law to kill them, but it's not against the law for them to kill your birds. So he's given up. He's bringing the white doves, the white birds, racing homers, to me, and it's sad, but he's giving up the pigeon hobby. I talked to him a little bit about, well, why not do this? Why not, instead of releasing your birds, consider showing your birds. You can show white homers. Every show has a category for them. Or you can maybe switch over to fancy birds. There are many birds. Owls were mentioned. The runts were mentioned. There's hundreds and hundreds of different breeds. You're bound to find one that fits your fancy, so to speak, that you really like, and get involved in showing. And I'll talk to him again tomorrow, and certainly I hope that he'll consider it. We do have a question from Aaron Scotty Hansford. I know this doesn't pertain to pigeons, but y'all must be a southerner, huh? But do y'all sell anything that would help with gout in poultry? Here's what I'm going to do, Aaron. Give me a call, let's say 5:30, 6 o'clock this evening, and I should be home. If I'm not home, I'll see your name and I'll call you. And I'll do some research. I've heard of gout. I know what gout is, but in answer to your question, I'm not sure what the treatment would be, but I'll find out for you. Um, I have a whole library of books on ducks, on pigeons, on chickens, and I have books going back to the early 1900s, as well as some very, very current books. And when I don't have an answer, I usually tell the people, call me back or I'll call you back. If you want my home phone number, and I hope you have something to write on, I'm going to give you my home phone number. Uh, and it has caller ID. So if I don't answer, if I'm not in the house at the time, in fact, I've got to cut some grass when I get home. But if I'm not home, when I get back in, I'll see the number, and you give me a description. What would be great if there's a swelling of any kind, send the picture to me, or send it right to Foys. And if you send it before 5 o'clock our time, it's 3:45 now. You can send it to Foys. Our address is on the website in our catalog. Give me a picture, and that will help me a lot too. My home phone number is 724-462-5669. As if you're just tuning in, Gina just did leave. She's on her way to the Fremont show with Cassandra, Cassandra's daughter. They're going to set up the show and sell products. So if you're in the Western Ohio area, you may want to stop at the show, meet Gina, but also a big display of our pigeons will be there, and gives you the opportunity of buying product without paying any shipping. And if you have questions, then certainly Gina or Cassandra will probably be able to answer them for you. Do we have any other questions? Oh, well, you folks are going to have to put up with me. I have, as I said, I have a large collection of books. I'm getting to an age where I'm saying to myself, what would happen to me if I weren't around? I hate to see the books all thrown away, or wouldn't know what to do with them. So if you are interested in old books or old, I've got American Pigeon Journal, I've got the Pigeon Debut, I've got Racing Pigeon Digest. I'm trying to think, there's another one, Racing Pigeon. Doesn't really matter. I have a lot of old magazines. I have a lot of old books. If you're interested in wanting to know what I have, I'd make them available to you at a reasonable price. And all of the money I would get from selling these books, or if you'd like a particular book, want us to show it to you on one of our shows, we can do that. All the money that I would get for those books would be turned back to the Legacy Fund Trust. Something else, as you know, I'm a member of the National Pigeon Association. The NPA has come up with a gorgeous, would you go get that? You can walk away, can't you? We'll show you. Veronica's going to go get it. They've been working for it for a number of months, and it's finally available. You can call the NPA as to its availability, but and I'll give you the NPA numbers. They're gracious enough. They always put an ad in our catalog. And if you want to contact the NPA, the address is NPAUSA, stands for National Pigeon Association, United States of America. So it's NPAUSA.com. Pretty easy. Well, it's also on Facebook. If you want to call Tim for whatever reason, his phone number is area code, thank you. No, it's not area code, thank you. It's area code 404-922-4960. The reason I'm really proud of this is, though we certainly didn't design it, but with the contributions that have been made to the Legacy Fund Trust, we were able to help fund the project itself. Well, look at this. Can they see it pretty well? Mm-hmm. All these different breeds. And what we're going to do with this beautiful poster is give them to feed stores or anywhere that's poultry related and ask them to put it up. There's contact information here for the NPA, and we're hoping that the people who go into the feed store, who are in almost all cases animal or bird, people get the bird seed, get their feed, will see this and get the idea that there's more to pigeons than just that street pigeon that you see. So we're going to give them to where I'm going to stop by a Tractor Supply, hoping they'll list one too. They'll put it up there, and the people who have never seen these beautiful, beautiful pigeons would have the opportunity to look at them, and if it interests them, they can contact the National Pigeon Association, and we hope over time it will develop new fanciers. There are people out there. I know there are new people. We get requests for catalog every day, from people who are interested in just getting into the hobby or were in the hobby and now are coming back to it. So we know there are a lot of new people coming into the hobby, and we want to get even more. So if you would contact the National Pigeon Association, I gave you the phone number. If you didn't get it, let me know, and I'll give it to you again, or I'll give you the way to contact them. And you can talk to them about how to get one of these. Now, I think this was planned because Gina said to me she may have to leave early. She didn't say she would leave early. She said she may leave early. So what do? I have to do the show because I wasn't planned for it. If it was I am leaving, I'd have been prepared. Uh, Here's a question we got in regards to coccidiosis. And I get a lot of questions. As you know, or you may or may not know, if you want to email me, when you email me, I always ask you to include your phone number. I'm not much of a computer person, but if you email me and include your phone number, a lot of times I'll call you right back, or I'll call you as soon as I possibly can. Here's the question. What do you recommend for coccidiosis? I would prefer pill form over flock treatment. Need to build my standby meds and want to know your opinion as you know, pigeons are developing a resistance to many medications. It's a great point. If you use the same product time and time and time again, you're going to find that if you don't change, the products you're using are not going to work. And one of the ones that builds the quickest resistance to a drug is the coccidiosis. Do I need to give out a phone number? No, I was listening to somebody. All right. Also, how effective is the injection for paratyphoid over, say, a flock treatment? Well, when it comes to coccidiosis, I kind of answered that in that what you have to do is rotate your products, not using the same one all the time. If you go to our website, you'll find that we probably have 6 or 7 different ones used for rotation, or you could go to Tractor Supply. There's a product called Corid, or your local feed store may have it. Corid, C-O-R-I-D. If you get it, it'll say it's for chickens, but don't worry about that. Get on our website, and the directions on there how to use the Corid. But we do have it in multiple products for coccidiosis because you have to rotate. When it comes to, read this question again. How effective is the injection of paratyphoid vaccine over, say, a flock treatment? Here's where there's a misunderstanding, and I'm glad that the question was asked. I'm looking for his name. His name is Ted. The vaccine, the injection, is not a treatment. If you've got paratyphoid, the vaccine is not going to do a thing about it. It's not a treatment. It's a preventative. So your best is to follow the instructions on the vaccines with the needle. You have to inject them, and the directions are all with it. So what's effective? The most effective treatment that I know of is in the furazolidone family, and they're both in our catalog that go in the drinking water. That's meant as a treatment because you have an ongoing problem. If you have had it, it's gone, and birds look good, that's the time to vaccinate them. We have on our website, we have a video that shows you how to vaccinate them. Anybody can do it. I've been doing it now for years and years. Have never killed a pigeon doing it. A lot of people think that's possible. So I think you should vaccinate for paratyphoid. It's very, very much an epidemic in the United States right now. PMV is a virus, and that has a vaccine too, but paratyphoid is much, much more common. Hope that answered the questions and gave you, not questions, but gave you some information. Dave is emailing again. I leave for work at 3 a.m. Do you think it's okay if I crate the pigeons the night before around 9 p.m. to 7 p.m. to a 7 a.m. toss? Absolutely not a problem at all. We talked about earlier in the show. The most important thing is ventilation. So if you're going to keep them in a basket, make sure they're not crowded. Make sure there's plenty of airflow and air ventilation, and you'll have no issue again. I used to do it on a regular basis. In fact, we used to have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and train our pigeons to go down the road, so to speak. So we would have them basketed the night before and in the truck, make sure there's plenty of ventilation, but then we would take them down the road. So yeah, it's not a problem. Tiffany, love that name. She got an interesting name. Tiffany, what does Tiffany? People, when you say Tiffany, it's jewelry and some of the best in the world. So Tiffany's first name, some of the best in the world. Her last name is Packard. And Packard, I watch the TV programs about old cars and people who travel the country. What's the name of that show? No, do you remember? Two guys travel the show and buy stuff. But anyway, one of the most valuable old cars, Tiffany, is a Packard. So thanks for sending in the question. A book on training homers would be great for Katie, Ann, and I. There's a couple of them, and they're inexpensive. I think one is $6. It's called, I'll look it up. It's called Racing Pigeon Topics, TOPIC. So it's in our catalog. It's on our website. The other one I wrote, I'm guessing now, it seems like last year, but I wrote it about 5 years ago. It's called White Pigeon. I wrote it for people who are in the white dove release business. And a lot of those folks, I've talked about this book before, a lot of those folks are not very experienced or sometimes no experience. They see an opportunity, wanting to be in business for themselves, would like to work from home. It's called White Pigeons, the Color of Money. I wrote it, and I wish I could have used the name Pigeons for Dummies, because it's for people who are not familiar on how to raise and train pigeons, whether they're racing homers, white doves, white racing homers, a lot of good information. So Tiffany, I think you'd probably spend less than $20, not counting the shipping, on those two books, Racing Pigeon Topics and White Pigeons, the Color of Money. I think both you and Carrie Ann would learn an awful lot. And as you know, if you have a question, give me a call anytime. I'll be glad to answer specific questions. Well, we have 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes, and if you have a question that you'd like to send to us, you still have time, and I'll be glad to answer it. One of the things, I'm shipping pigeons on Tuesday again, and I want to mention to the people who are buying the birds, and I mentioned it to you, the birds are in a molt right now, all of mine. So when you get them, they don't look as good as they should because they're losing all their feathers. One of the things I may have mentioned, if not, when pigeons are molting, the one thing you can do is increase their protein. Most pigeon feeds are 12 to 13%. What I would suggest you do is buy a bag of Canadian peas or maple peas. There are 3 or 4 different peas. They all have the same protein, which is 28%. What I would suggest you do is consider buying a feed, buying a bag of peas. We sell them, but you might be able to find them locally. And the average pigeon feed is 50 pounds. So add 10 pounds to your 50-pound bag of feed, which will increase that protein. When they're molting and growing in new feathers, they need added protein because most of the feathers are protein. So consider buying some peas, adding it to the existing feed, or go to your feed store and ask them which one of these is the highest protein. So protein is very important for pigeons going into a molt. We do have another question. Boy, that's a long one. You'll find I'm not a good reader. I'm a good talker, But when it comes to reading stuff, I have a problem. I stumble over it. But here's what Derek wants to know. I have a question about some sick birds. I have a flock of around 100 pigeons. Over the past year, about one bird every 2 weeks dies with the apparently the same symptoms. Though they are eating, they lose all muscle mass over a couple of weeks. We call that going light. And their poop is runny and always gets all over their tail feathers. I've treated them with Corid and 4-in-1, as well as some dewormers. Birds that are not very visibly sickly seem fine and raise a lot of chicks. But in the last month, I've started losing a lot more to the weather because of the weather going on, both adults and young birds. Can you recommend anything? What I see, because I get these kind of questions all the time, is you use Corid. Corid is which is a great product for coccidiosis. Coccidiosis is a protozoa, a bug that lives in the intestines. You use 4-in-1. 4-in-1 is canker, coccidiosis, worms, and if I remember right, it's an antibiotic. I'm trying to think. I can look it up. It doesn't matter. 3 out of those 4, Derek, are for protozoa, for bugs in the intestine. So you have not used a full-fledged antibiotic. My strong suggestion would be for you to consider ordering some amoxicillin powder. Put it in the drinking water. The directions are 1 teaspoon. Right now I have one section. One of my birds didn't look right, so I'm treating the whole section, and I'm using amoxicillin. It's a powder. I would suggest go to 1.5 teaspoons. Put it in the drinking water for 14 straight days. Even if everything is fine and everything stops and it looks good, 14 straight days of amoxicillin. Amoxicillin is what's called a broad spectrum antibiotic. You haven't used one yet. And an antibiotic, I think, will straighten out your birds over time. But it's important. You can go 14 days. You could actually, if you really wanted to for some reason, you can go 45 days. So 14 days is a must. If you want to go 21 days, won't hurt them a bit. You can use it when there's young ones in the nest, so you don't have to worry about that. Call the store, order some amoxicillin powder. Oh, my UPS man just walked right by the screen and everything went black. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Hey, guys, it's a little after 4 here. Thank you very much. If you have things you would like us to talk about in the future, we'd be glad to do it. We're here for you. We're here to help you. Hope you enjoy the show. We've got thousands and thousands of watchers, listeners, or however you would want to call it. It just amazes me. So we know that there's a thirst for knowledge out there for pigeons. If you have a question, you can call Foys. We'll do our best, or you can take part in our show. We need questions to make the show go so much quicker. Once again, Foys number 724-843-6889. If you want to go to a show in Western Ohio, in Fremont, Ohio, they'd love to have you, and we'll see you possibly in 2 weeks. Thanks very much. Take care now.